So Darryl, why don't you just give us a little bit of background, set the scene for your role at Fox and where you come from?
Yeah, so I've been in the entertainment industry for 15, 20 years. Came to Fox through an acquisition. They acquired Mar Vista back at the end of 2021. And as part of that, joined Fox Entertainment Studios as it was being reformed. One of the kind of reasons for that acquisition was they'd sold off, obviously, 20th Century to Disney, and we're building back up the studio capabilities. Since then, we've kind of taken Mar Vista and morphed it into Fox Entertainment Studios, where we've taken on some of the distribution, created a new entity called Fox Entertainment Global, built up the studio capabilities where we're now handling not only the Mar Vista movies of the week that we've done for many years, but also a lot of series, taking over Animal Control, Going Dutch, and a number of other productions as the studio continues to kind of grow.
Yeah, some busy times.
Very busy in the end.
So favorite movie?
Probably Goodfellas.
Oh, nice choice. And we all know you play the drums.
Yes, that's lyric.
Thanks. So we had a nice steak last night, which was a bit big. I thought I was a bit sluggish this morning. But one of your claims to fame, tell us about your drumming story, your origin.
I moved down to Los Angeles from Eugene, Oregon to play drums, and ended up playing on the first album, The Black Eyed Peas, as well as with my friends who were in the band, as well as Roland Bolin with Mark Bolin from T-Rex. So
that's too cool. Yeah. Anyway, but thank you for sharing. Jeff, over to you. Tell us a little about yourself.
Hard to follow. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Lynn, SVP of Finance here at the studio, and been with Darryl for about 6 years now. Previously, I was in public accounting, so I was doing a lot of public audits in the entertainment and tech space as well. And yeah, we've kind of been part of this journey of integrating all our systems, especially going from a small to a public company.
Yep.
So it's been quite the experience. But we've done it side by side, and Darryl's been a huge supporter of it. When I first interviewed for Mar Vista, I was kind of shocked. I was looking at some of the bigger studios too, and I was just kind of taken aback of how much they were using systems. And I was like, why do you need so much of this? And it was huge volume. We're doing 60 movies a year, and that was expected to go higher, which it did. So we had being a part of the build and all that was pretty exciting.
Cool. Yeah. Excellent. So I am forced to refer to you as the mac and cheese of Fox Entertainment. Told you I'll get that in somewhere. All right. Jeff's also a big fan of bananas, so I hit another one of our code words from yesterday's dinner. All right, guys. So tell us, just about the Fox. So 80+ movies. You're building things up, territories. Give us a feel of how long have you been with Anaplan? So on the journey, and just a little bit about the implementation. I know you use one of our great partners heavily to support you as well. A little bit about the environment there. That would be great.
Yeah, very much so. So we started 8 years ago with Anaplan, and it came down to what Jeff was just talking about. We were building up. Originally, Mar Vista was a distributor. We would go acquire content and then sell it, but we weren't making content. And then we started to make our own movies and tailor them for clients, to the point where we got up to, when Jeff joined us, we were about 40 to 50 films a year. We got up to 100 films a year. But at that time, when we were choosing Anaplan, we had about a 600 film library, which anyone who's familiar with the accounting of films at the individual film forecast requires these ultimates. And so we had this massive spreadsheet in Excel that had like 500 tabs, and literally someone would just like pray and hit, run the macro to hopefully it worked. We needed to convert that. And the only way we could do that was to use a system that allowed us to kind of manage this. Otherwise we'd have hundreds of people doing this. And so we, chose Anaplan, built it out. Many years of kind of refining it, but it's gotten to a point where it's supremely automated for us, but then it's continued to expand. So it was originally just managing ultimates. Then it kind of moved into residuals, participations. Jeff now runs it with production finance, and it's become like this full circle where we start something in production funding, it ends up in our ultimates, and then we're participations and residuals reporting off of that. And it's kind of not only improved like our ability to manage everything, but the automation and the visibility and the decision-making is just improved dramatically. So.
Yep. And you integrate with what source systems? Do you pull actuals in from, etc.?
We're using Workday. And then the key for us is really another system called Streamline, which is our rights management system. And so all of our RevRec and everything is automated because it's literally just looking at rights land and seeing when did the license period start date, has the content been delivered, and calculating when we recognize revenue.
Gotcha. And Jeff, you're the day-to-day owner of everything, so give us a flavor of your team size and.
Oh yeah. So within our group, we have like the accounting, production finance, FP&A team, our participation residuals team. It's about 20 people. So when I originally took over the adminning of Anaplan, it was probably like 3 years ago. I came to the same conference, and I was a little scared because I've used Anaplan, but I had not really engaged with it and figured out how to we had no UX pages, for example, and things like that. It was very end user friendly at the time. So it was the evolution of where we are today. I met one of our great partners, Donish, who I don't know if you all know Donish. He's amazing. And I had never met someone that had a podcast on Anaplan. So I was like, I'm intrigued. I hope you guys are too. It's great content there now these days. And
Yep, that is easily won over, obviously.
yes, I know. We were looking at a lot of partners, and this is the moment to look for that key partner you're looking for. But it was super easy at that point, very casual. And it was really, I had never heard of the Planual. And I was like, what's that? It's like, you mean we could do things 5 different ways, but there's 3 that are the preferred way. And so we took something that was really well implemented even before my time, but with Daryl, and started to figure out along the way that there's lots of improvements since we started that we had not even tapped into, like the data hub. We kind of looked really outliers when everybody said they had one. We're like, oh, this is so, getting a partner like Donish and DSI to help us kind of make improvements along the way, or dramatic improvements, I should say. And also helping building up our team of model builders. So we ended up, Daryl's like, yeah, we should all be model builders, go as high as we can. So about 3 or 4 of us on the team, they're really the workhorse, like our Naomi's and Lyris's and Eric's. I'm just calling them out because Alpha exists, but they're amazing at what they can do. And we kind of just throw them like a laundry list of wish lists, and they kind of make it happen. So where we are, especially given a good example of our Ultimates process, we have 600 plus titles that are active that are not 10 years old. And so we used to have to review those manually.
Yep.
Take a lot of time. And so we kind of worked with Donish to kind of figure out a way to automate some of that audit. So we're really just looking at the outliers, and it really helped cut down our time tremendously. So we've done small things like that, but Daryl keeps giving me the go ahead and the support to keep pushing along. And so we brought in production finance last year, kind of did a lot of, so we're almost end to end through the finance process.
All right. Let's we got a flavor of starting in 2018 and the journey so far. As you went through the implementation process and obviously refreshing with Donish, any advice for anybody else? When was it time to clean things up? Was it an ongoing process, or when you explore a new area? Just your learnings.
I think it's part of these the learnings that come from these conferences, because every time Jeff went to one of these, he'd come back and it would creep into another area, which was very helpful. And in so much so that, we have a huddle every day, and half the people are like, what did they talk about going on that day? Half of them will say the daily Donish meeting, which is them touching base with Donish to figure out how to bring Anaplan into what they're doing. It slowly crept in from ultimates into participations, residuals, and everywhere else because of the ease of what it enabled for us to do. And so Donish understood Anaplan, and we understood our business, and those come together. And now he understands a lot more about entertainment, and we understand a lot more about Anaplan. That's kind of fed itself, which has been great. To Jeff's point, that certain people on the team are able to go and deploy certain things now on their own and continue to build out the capabilities, because it's an iterative experience. It's like it wasn't perfect when it first implemented it. We'd put out these calculations, and all of a sudden you'd have something that you didn't imagine, and it would back up, and like amortization, which would not be in line with the gap accounting. And we're like, what's going on with this? And it took us years to work through some of those things, but once it got there, it's been one of the most kind of incredible systems that we use to do we look for it to do whatever we can now at Fox. So.
And we also have a lot of data from all the different systems that help us kind of do more than we would like. And I don't know, we try to find those spreadsheets people still do.
Yep.
And try to snipe them, take them out. And I remember Daryl had a one cash funding rack that he was doing, and it was big file. And I was like, hey, can we figure that out? And so with Don itself, we kind of brought it in. I was like, don't you just want to see the changes, things that are of like concern rather than try to help piece it together? He's like, I like it, but I don't know if he likes it now, but hopefully it's saving him time. Like, so that's some of the good examples we've been able to achieve, I think, as a team. And Daryl's been a huge supporter from the get-go. So I would say without that, it's very difficult. And he's been one to actually appreciate the end benefits and help coordinate that among other departments, especially with Fox. So Daryl's been a huge support, even though I'm spreading out the rumors. He's the one at the top talking to the right people, to make sure they're on board.
And you're telling me as a Workday customer every now and again, Adaptive sneaks in to the conversation and you fight the good fight. Anything on that to us?
Yeah, I mean, that's always an ongoing issue for that type of coordination. But I think part of what we've built is in Anaplan is hard to replicate, even if another system can do it. Porting it over is not easy. So those are some of the things that we always kind of try and focus on is the capabilities and what are we getting out of it, regardless of the systems. And Anaplan has just been, a true asset in that one manner. So,
gotcha. Well, to give us a flavor of the applications, it's always fun because you guys have an amazing business, really interesting, of course, to all of us film watchers. So tell us a little bit about some of the most complicated ones here, or maybe unusual to the normal layman. So I want to start with which one do you want to start with?
Production. I mean, this kind of, I'm assuming it's left to right up there. When you go left to right, it's really how it starts. It's everything from development into production funding, and development is like, buying a script or getting something going. It starts there. We get we greenlight a film or a series. We then get a production funding schedule, which then goes into Anaplan, and we're basically releasing funds based on that schedule. And from there, when we have a complete film or series, it moves into what our content management system, which is managing the Ultimate's revenues and expenses over some period of time, typically 10 years. And from there, we're using it for all budgeting, forecasting, long-range planning. And then it goes into all the Ultimates for over that period. And then
So what's an ultimate?
an Ultimate is just a 10-year, so thanks for asking that question. A 10-year summary of what the revenues and expenses are going to be of a film or a series. All revenues, all expenses. And so it's basically like a big budget that you manage on an annual basis and you true it up. And so if you think you're going to get $10 million from a film, and it doesn't look like it, you don't have to bring that down, which brings forward a lot of expenses and things. And so it's managing that about how you're going to realize the results of some type of piece of content. With a lot of our content, we're very sure because we've done it so many times, but new pieces of content where we do a new type of film in a new genre released in a different way with somebody else, we don't know. And so there's a lot of kind of variations, which create a lot of kind of interesting accounting for those type of issues for us. And then last but not least, so the ultimate is that, we talk about the multiple books in the entertainment industry, which can be kind of a negative aspect, but in factual, it's a reality of what we have to deal with. And the ultimate is a 10-year kind of estimate of what we think the film's going to do. Then there's the actual revenues and expenses, which in our world is still accrual based. It's not cash based. Then there's that third set of books, which is participations and residuals are all cash based. So I can sell something to Amazon, but if they're not going to pay me for a year or two, I don't have anything to report in my participations and residuals. And so those three are always kind of having to be reconciled. And so it's a big challenge to try and report and manage all of that. And so that's one of the things that Anaplan does so well for us in being able to connect those and realign what we see in an ultimate to what we're seeing in the actuals to what we're seeing on a cash basis and a very kind of quick cause of change, so to speak, in our language.
And all of this is really integrated for us. So like what we do in Ultimate drives our budget and forecast. So it can get pretty complicated when we do it. But if it was all manual, I should say. But the fact is, once we set these Ultimates, it really feeds everything. So one of the great examples of how it really helps us with the integrating across all our processes, you're using the same assumptions that you're using when we're reporting on the participation residual side, same guilds, all those things that like, you'd want them all to be in sync. When it's all in Excel, it's all, lots of room for version control errors and things like that. So it's made our life excitingly easier in that area. And yeah, it's ultimates or whatever complex estimates, right? That from an accounting perspective, it can get pretty heavily scrutinized. So we want to make sure we're on top of it and be able to review it and support everything we put into it. So
Gotcha. And the people that you work with in the business that consume this, are they users of the system, or do you issue them reports? How do they interact with
A
Anaplan?
little bit of both. Some people are users. A lot of people just get reports from us on a regular basis. So I think that's the goal, is to try and get more people to kind of access the system in a real-time basis. But right now it's a lot more kind of feeding out
To
to.
feed them when you need to, and it's essentially monthly cycles, or
We have
as
monthly, daily, weekly. It all depends on what the reporting is. So we manage two pieces of the Fox Entertainment world. There's the network, such as the Fox network when you go and see shows on actual Fox, and then there's the studio and the distribution unit. And the distribution unit is a service business for all of Fox. So we sell Fox News content, Fox Sports, Tubi. And so reporting with that is a much more frequent. We're always reporting out to those business units on a regular basis, whether it's daily, weekly commitments. We track books of business. So as business gets kind of captured, we're tracking kind of the growing book of business that'll be realized in the future.
Yeah.
And so we're reporting that out to the businesses on a regular.
And the amazing thing about you guys is just the list gets longer of titles, right? So it just gets bigger.
It never goes away.
bigger.
It only gets bigger.
Yeah. Okay. So what's next? So you guys never ends.
Mhm.
You can never have enough planning, obviously. So what are you working on with the next kind of round of applications that you're looking at building?
I think being part of Fox, we're trying to like expand what we're doing with other divisions that are doing almost the same thing. So we've already started off some of those processes, getting like the Fox participations or the residuals team into the Anaplan as well. But mirroring what we already established, some of those things, but also new stuff there. I would love for us to access more dashboards or utilize the app a little more. If Daryl can approve things through the app, that's a win for me, but we'll see. I just want to make the user experience pretty good for not just our teams, but like the end users, like the exec teams, to be able to see some really cool KPIs and dashboarding, because as part of like the whole, us becoming the new studio, there's going to be new things we're anticipating of tracking. So that's one of the exciting things about Anaplan, being able to track non-financial data too in there with the financial data, especially when it comes to like volume, or for us, we're, run times, things like that we're kind of excited about. But those are like an immediate ones, but
That just happened in participations. So we do quarterly reporting on participations to all the back end participants who have a ownership stake or a profit stake in one of our pieces of content, and we every quarter probably release 200 to 300 statements for all the content that we produce. And so it used to be you'd sit down with the participations team and go report by report, review it, and make sure that it was accurate. Now basically we log into Anaplan, it comes up on a screen, and as we go through them, you see on the left it starts all red and like 193 red, and as you go through them, they start to become green, and when you're done, it's 193 green, and it's all done, and you can log in and see the last quarter. You get access to all this information. It was a change for me, because I was used to like sitting there and going through it. But that first time I was like, oh, wait a second, what about the last quarter? What it do? And they could pull it up immediately. And so it was hard to kind of not have anything to touch or feel, but it was great to be able to go through it in that process. And that was just something that the participations team built out with Donish to make it easier for them to track and be able to, because I'm always asking for metrics of, no one appreciates how much volume we're doing, and I always want them to be able to report on it. And so this was one of the ways that we're able to kind of capture that data and then use it in the future.
Gotcha. Okay.
expand workflow is the goal, because it worked.
More workflows.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Right, we got one more. We seem to have doubled up our slides here. So let's talk a little bit about the longer term. So I can't even read. I think it might be in glass.
Commissions and sales pipeline captures it. So
That read's really hard to read.
that's it. That's a lot of the stuff we were talking about with our distribution team, where we support them managing, because our distribution business unit is really almost like a third-party business unit. It's been structured in that way to manage all the content for all the different businesses inside Fox. And so to be able to report on that and to be able to kind of give insight into what's happening in the marketplace, it also has to touch to Salesforce and a few other systems to pull everything in, because there's what we call secured business, which has been not only realized but then contractually signed, but then there's in negotiations, and then there's the pipeline. And so to pull that in to do all the forecasting on a weekly and monthly basis for us is key. And so that's some of the things that we're building out. And again, leveraging Anaplan for a lot of those type of things.
Yeah. All right. So you guys are still going to be busy and it never ends. So
we'll be busy.
So now we're today, and obviously we appreciate you finding the good fight for Anaplan on a daily basis. Can you talk about the outcomes, the benefits? Darryl, when you stand in front of the boss, how do you justify spending the license fee? Just any.
So I should give credit where credit's due. Jeff always gives it to me, but actually, our boss at the time, the CEO of Mar Vista, who now runs Fox Studios, was a huge proponent of systems. He knew the scale that he was shooting for, and he knew that it was going to be very hard without systems. And so, as a small company of Mar Vista, which was sub $100 million in revenue, we over-indexed in systems, and he was a huge proponent of Anaplan, not necessarily because he knew Anaplan, but he saw the outcomes and what we were able to do. And so he invested in that quite heavily. And so we were very lucky with that. And so by the time we actually, came to the Fox world, we had built out a whole world in Anaplan, which was hard to replicate. And so that's been one of the things that we've benefited from the volume that we had. We built out so many capabilities that it's hard for us to replace it. So,
Gotcha.
And from that, we see the benefits downstream where we don't have to have as many people. But at the same time, the things we have to work on are how do we get people up to speed when they come in to be able to kind of be functional in Anaplan. I'm probably the most functional person. It's the opposite. I'm the worst in Anaplan. I go in and just access information, but Jeff and team get people up to speed pretty quickly. But that's one of our biggest challenges of when someone's new and they haven't kind of used Anaplan, and we have a whole new team that we're trying to bring on. There is a ramp up, but once they get in there, it's good. But that's always one of the challenges for us. But overall, the long term, it's been a huge benefit, and we've seen the not only kind of the decision making and the information we get, but also the costs has been total cost of ownership against like the employees has been incredible. So
And with time savings and cost savings.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to add that the team members that used to do a lot of these things manually are still there. So they're able to help us convey the benefit. So the learning curve is totally worth it, I think. And we've saved countless weeks, times, hours, on individual things. And if you add them all up, it's pretty significant sometimes. But yeah, no, it's never enough. So always like craving it.
Yeah, the person who runs our participations team has been an employee with Fox for a very long time. Fantastic individual, but had her processes, and Jeff had drug her into the Anaplan world, kicking and screaming, and now she's one of the biggest proponents. She has two staff, one of them who's like very much in the Anaplan world and continues to push the envelope, and now she gains all the benefits of that. But for the longest time, she just she needed her process, and now this has become her process. It took a little while, but she's one of the biggest kind of proponents.
She's always talking about AI in her updates. I'm like, you're the only out of all the people in our group chat, she's now the one talking about where they are with utilizing ChatGPT and things like that to help streamline some of the manual stuff too as well. So but yeah. No.
So you guys are going to be picking up the console in about 3 months when Adam makes it available?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Very good. Have you got you don't use Polaris, right? You haven't adopted the change yet. Any plans to do any structural stuff behind the scenes, or too busy still?
We'll see. I think we're looking at it and evaluating. It's a challenging world to be able to use certain things because in the AI world for us, especially if it touches content, that has a lot of issues. So we have to be very, very cognizant of that. And then secondarily, a lot of proprietary information, how that gets kind of managed. And so there's a whole team at Fox that we work with to do that and to look at the opportunities. But there's a lot of things that we're looking at right now. There's a few things we've implemented which have allowed us to kind of, instead of, what I call like dumpster diving into agreements, because we have thousands of agreements, we now can kind of set things to go and grab information and put it into our systems as opposed to someone manually entering it. And so we have some quick wins with that, but there's a lot to do. But it's a big world and we got to figure it out before we get there. So.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, we're almost at Q&A, but anything else we missed and forgot to say, do we think? That somebody might find interesting?
Well, we're excited to see like what's next with Anaplan and what we're hearing about. Because everyone's really, excited for what language models, AI, and all the stuff can do today, but they're like, well, how do I practically implement it across our systems? And so we've slowly been trying and it's working. So now we're more like, okay, how do we accelerate this a little bit? That's kind of on our mind. So we're excited about that. But I mean, one of the best things, which why we kind of, celebrate Anaplan with what we do, it has a lot of good capability, and that's what we've been happy with so far. But there's always new challenges coming up all the time. So
Yep.
we're excited to see how to pivot and keep Anaplan in our story the whole time. So that's kind of our outlook right now. But